So I'm going to make today's lesson an ASMR lesson. So get nice and comfy. Try to listen with excellent headphones if you have them. And sit back and enjoy the lesson. Is that doing it for you? Okay. All jokes aside, I did get a new microphone, and I love this thing. So hopefully this will solve some of my audio problems. Namely popping my P's too much because I got this fancy... This whole thing was actually not that expensive. I thought it was going to be like hundreds of dollars, but I decided to drop a... Well, how much was this thing? It doesn't matter. Probably more than I can afford. But, so this is normally kind of the part in the semester where I would like to have a debate about liberty and equality. And I mean like an in-class debate with people like yelling at each other. Well, not usually yelling at each other, but with a paper afterwards. So I figured we'd just skip the yelling at each other part and go right to the paper. But I'll still kind of talk about some ideas. So liberty is obviously super important. Like, this is more Locke's style of thinking. Like, we need to protect our freedom to live as we want to live. And that just, like, feels good from, like, a purely deontological standpoint. It's just right. Like, we shouldn't tell other people how to live. We should be able to, you know, eat what we want, wear what we want, kiss who we want. Beyond that, though, there might also be, like, a good utilitarian argument here. Like, I mean, that's basically the idea of the free market, right? Or like libertarians' whole point of view is that if you just hands off, the least government involvement possible, laissez-faire kind of economics, that's supposed to like make things better for everyone. So I don't know if it actually does, but I'm not an economist. You guys can figure that out on your own. But so might that same kind of utilitarian argument, if it works for economics, would that work just for social stuff too? Like, is it just better for everyone that everybody can just do what they want? That freedom is the only thing we make sure to enforce. Now, for protecting the community, for enforcing the common good or the general will, as what's his name? Not Robespierre, Rousseau. I'm not sure I ever said his full name. It's Jean-Jacques Rousseau, which I think is really great. Although I have had students try to call him Jean-Jacques, which I kind of prefer. But where was I? Oh, the general will. So like, might it be more important to sacrifice some of that liberty for social equity? We already give up some freedoms, like we give up the freedom to just kill and steal whatever, to make sure that people can stay safe, to make sure that nobody does it to us. And I'm not saying that can't happen in a society that focuses on liberty, but maybe we could just extend that a little bit. Would it not be worth giving up a little more freedom? Like what kind of business practices we allow, maybe? Or, you know, enforcing control over hiring practices or school admissions standards. So just to make sure that everyone gets a fair slice. Is that totally terrible? Might that work out okay? So like, we got the equal opportunity employment that says you can't turn down applicants just because they're, oh, I don't know, black or gay. But are there other subtle ways that class, race, sex, sexuality play into hiring practices that are keeping certain people down? And especially class, like, just looking at like the prestige of how expensive the school that you went to or who you meet at that school gives you a leg up in a way that you might not have otherwise. Or if you can afford to spend lots of money on test prep stuff. Don't get me going on what a scam test prep is, though, because I do it, and they don't pay me enough either. But I'm getting off track. So could we just make sure that everyone has a home? Could we just make sure that everyone has health care? What kind of liberties would we have to give up? Like, I'm totally cool with it if insurance companies have to give up the liberty to charge more for pre-existing conditions. Or to exist. I don't think they should even exist, but that's another lesson. At the same time, can't the common will be wrong? I mean, obviously, yes, we have been very wrong before, just as a society. Homophobia used to be rampant. Slavery used to be like generally accepted as like, yep, this is the best thing for our society is let's keep these slaves working. So, I mean, even the Nazis thought they were doing a good thing. They're fighting for their ethno-state, and presumably modern day white supremacists think they're trying to get something good for the community with their ethno-state. So how we define our community is super important for this, obviously. If we're talking about like the general welfare, who are the people counted in that? Because if we exclude people from it, then it's not equality that we're fighting for. It's not equity that we're fighting for. Things like drug laws are pretty bad and are exercised in a way that's definitely racially inequitable and also along class lines. But it's that same kind of best for everyone thinking, like, we don't want those terrible drugs in our community, so we should put people in jail who bring those drugs into this community. So at the same time, a focus purely on liberty, where just let people do what they want. Well, that kind of gets us to a place where the strong or the rich basically do get to say what happens and the weak have little to no voice. It kind of gets us to a place where, like, I don't know. I just got distracted thinking about how the CIA and the White House purposefully, under Reagan, purposefully put crack cocaine into black communities in the 80s to try to bring them down. But I got distracted. Sorry. So, focusing too much on liberty removes protections that ensure equality. And then those people who aren't equal can't really exercise their liberty. Like, sure, I'm free to go buy a yacht and tool around on Lake Tahoe or whatever rich people do, but I can't fucking afford to. Sure, I have the liberty to go to a hospital, but I sure as shit don't have insurance. So, I kind of talk about that too much. I should probably just get some insurance. So, does liberty need equity? Does equity need liberty? What kind of synthesis might we try to come to? And what would that look like in practice? Like, how could we actually ensure that? How could we make sure that people have equality without pissing off people who really care about liberty? How could we make sure that people have liberty without completely destroying everything that the people who want equity are fighting for? Can we? Is that possible? Give that some thought. Do some more research, because this was a crappy video. Honestly, I thought I was doing a good job with the videos. But every time I watch them, I'm like, God, this is just kind of stupid. So I hope y'all are getting a lot out of this. And I'm going to stop talking bad about my own videos now. Do some more research. Just Googling, like, arguments for liberty or arguments for equality or equity. Should bring up some interesting things. And if you can't find any, ask me in the discussion board. Speaking of the discussion board, I asked in an email if y'all would want the discussion boards to be mandatory, just to, like, have some easy grades, and I wouldn't make it hard, make it super easy. I just want there to be good discussion on them. And literally only one person from all 4 of my classes wrote back to me in an email saying that yes, it sounded like a good idea. So I guess I'm gonna have to figure that out, how to make the discussion boards mandatory. I guess I could just make them all graded, all worth like 1 point, and you just have to do one thing to get 1 point on one, and just need like 15 points. I don't know. I'll figure that out, but something like that. Anyway, the discussion boards are now mandatory. So I'll put a new one up. I'll put up an assignment about this liberty equity shit, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time. No, wait, what do I usually say? God, I haven't done a video in a long time. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.